So what I wanted to do today is just to take you through Postmaker. It's been on quite a journey since I kind of initially developed it. And where I came from is I didn't ever set out to build a social media tool. I set off to build a data product. And in marketing that, I thought, I know how to code. Let's try and script something. So I ended up writing a little command line script that would help generate some social media posts. And that then got a bit of legs, and that turned into Postmaker. And when I started building it, there were quite a few things that I wanted to do that were useful for me, such as the variables, and it's kind of grown organically from there. The journey to AppSumo was, quite an exciting one. That's kind of where it all started for me. I didn't have anybody before, so it's gone on quite a journey from there. And one of the things that I've really enjoyed from this is I am absolutely a developer, not a marketer, not a salesperson, but being able to actually talk to people that are interested in the product, that have purchased it, has really helped me kind of shape the direction for it to go into. I've got lots of ideas of where it can go. So it's all about kind of building the product that people need. There is just me. I am, no worries, Alex. So there's me and Jess. So Jess is working with me around some of the social media. It's all bootstrapped. It's all something that I'm building kind of for the love of it. And I'm enjoying seeing where the project is going. So some of this stuff we might cover, people might already have seen before or used before. So feel free to kind of message if you've got any questions as we're going through. So to get started, we're just going to go ahead and add a brand in here. And the example that I'm going to go through today is a motorcycle store. So motorbike store is the brand. Some of this information in here that you can add. So if I put myself down as contact, and I'm not sure how many people are actually, it's actually my personal email address, but we've got it in there anyway. This is helpful for kind of just separating out some of the content that you've got. If you add an email address in here, it gives you this contact link to email someone straight away. And this kind of came from me thinking if it's an agency using this, it might be a useful way of doing things. One of the other options that you've got in here is the default social media provider. So if this particular brand, so if you've got a client and they're always using Publer, for example, you can set that at this level so that you don't need to set it every time. So let's just update here. If you're always going to be creating content for a particular provider, and I do need to make this clearer, but if you go into your profile, there is a option here, and what that will do is that will set this globally. So anytime you create any more brands or campaigns, then this will kind of cascade down from there. You've still got the option to make this more granular. So if you go into a brand or a campaign further down, you can still tweak it from there. I'm going to set this one to Publer. Let's come back into brands. So here we go. I've chosen not to have an icon in here, but again, you can do if you want to. So I'm going to go and click into campaigns, and again we can see some of this information. One of the things that I was thinking about is around if I get an understanding of the industries and the types of posts, and there might be some kind of learning that I could do in the future to help kind of shape the sorts of posts that people can create. I can see Jess has arrived. Hello, Jess. Cool, so we'll go ahead and we're just going to add a campaign, and I'm just going to call this one demo campaign. Nice and exciting. Create. And one of the things that I always find whenever I'm recording demos or doing stuff like this, I always see things that I want to tweak and change, which is why it takes me so long to do videos. I kind of go away and start actually fixing stuff. So I'll be making notes as I go along. So if you see something that you go, oh, I wish that was a bit better, please write in the comments and I will look to improve it. So what we're going to do here is just create a very simple post, first of all, for our motorcycle thing. So if we come in here and we're going to give this one a name, I've just realized it doesn't fully fit into the screen, so I don't know if people have this issue. So I'm just going to call this buy our stuff. We're just going to go for a very basic one first of all. So what we're going to do is we sell bikes. So this is kind of something very simple, but just to explain the way that the syntax works is if you can say bikes, gloves, helmets, for example. And what this will do is this says, okay, this will create a post for we sell bikes, one for we sell gloves, and one for we sell helmets. Fairly simple. And there are spinners out there online that you can use that will do this stuff for you. There's free tools out there, great. But what we want to do is kind of make kind of the more complex things easier using PostMaker. So if I go ahead and just look at this output here, click on results, make sure I've not broken it already. Let me see if I can. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. It's come back. Okay, it was stretched too far. That's fine. It's all fitting in now. One of the things that I've added fairly recently is that when you move over to the results page, it will generate them for you. I'm aware that there are quite a few steps where you need to kind of click a couple of times. I know going back to posts is one of those. So this will generate, and this has generated me 3 lovely posts. So this is the kind of very basic way of creating content. And what you can do is you can nest this syntax. So a good example is, so if we go, would you like to buy a, and let's just change this to bike, glove, helmet. So if we put in here, for example, earplug, and grammatically this wouldn't make any sense for us because this would say, would you like to buy a earplug? You'd want to say an earplug. So one of the things you can do in here is the nested syntax, which can take a little bit to get your head around, but basically it's a query within a query. So I'm just going to wrap this around. And so what I'm going to say, so this will be a followed by bike, glove, helmet, or earplug, and you can say or. I'm going to go an earplug. So let's just remove this one from here. So the idea of this one is it will say, would you like a bike, glove, helmet, or an earplug? And if I've done this right, there we go. So grammatically, this makes more sense to us. And then if you've got other things that start with an, let me just get rid of that space. And I can only think of ice pick at the moment. Don't know why you buy that from a motorbike place, but there you go. So this is a way that if you're building up a sentence and there's a need to split out from your a and your ands, you can do it this way. One of the things it doesn't particularly do is play nicely with the variations underneath. Cool. So what I'm going to do now is, would you like to buy a, and I'm just going to add a list of motorbikes. So sometimes there's content that you will be using quite a few times. If this is a motorbike store, then they're going to be kind of referring to the motorbikes that they sell quite frequently. And so one of the things to do, instead of kind of having to type this out each time, you've got the ability to save this as a variable. Now, if you've already typed it out, there's a simple way that you can click on it here and just call this one bikes. Now, I normally put an exclamation mark in front of mine, and that's so when I'm writing my text, I don't accidentally write something that will be picked up as a variable. So if I had the word like as a variable, everywhere I wrote like, it would inject the information from here. So if I type in bikes, you can see this now is my exclamation bikes. It says bikes down there, but it will still create me 4 posts. So if I just go to results, there. So it's come back with those 4. And the idea behind this is if you've got something like a call to action, so buy now, download now, see more, something like that, And you've got if you've got different clients or different post types, you can save something that you'll be writing all the time, and it's just nice and easy. You can just drop that in. Once you've got a list of variables, it's just a case of clicking and it will insert that in where your cursor. If you've got a few in there, it will highlight in the lovely PostMaker pink once that's been used within your post. So what we'll do now is we'll just have another look further down here. So I'm just going to add this back in. So would you like to buy a bike? Hashtags, so if you're obviously posting to social media, you normally want to put some hashtags in here. There are two different ways that we can get these added. So first of all, we'll want a list of bike-related hashtags. And what I've got here, and I'm not sure if anybody actually uses this, but there's a link. So this is linking out to all hashtag. So I'm just going to type in motorbikes. And we can just kind of find some tags that we'll use. So fine, we'll just grab these ones. And this can just be a comma separated list of hashtags. Again, if you want to save these out as a variable, you can just type in the variable name in here and it will use them. So the two different ways that we can do this. So we can do exclamation mark and write tags. There's a little kind of guide underneath here. And if we just say we just want one tag, and what this will do is this will choose one random tag from this long list to display alongside it. So again, if we come back to results, boom. So each one of these, so it's chosen a random one, it's chosen that one a few times. We can click generate again, and it will mix it, it will select another one. If you want to vary the amount of tags that are being displayed, we can actually remove the number here. But here we can say, okay, we want to display between 1 and 4. And again, some of this kind of depends of what channel that you're writing your content for. Twitter versus Instagram might be quite different for how many you actually want to put in there. So I've gone between 1 and 4. Results. There we go. Kind of muscle memory is taking me to the generate button, but it's already done it for me. So here you go. So there's a nice mix of posts in here. And when we're kind of going back here, there's, again, the more that you want to spin this content, this is obviously just changing the name of the bikes. So instead of would you like to buy, you go, is it time for a new? So instead of, this is where you kind of need to get a bit smart with how you write this. So now I've got, would you like to buy a, and then bikes, or is it time for a new, and then one of the bikes. So again, these will be fairly similar, and there's definitely an art to writing these posts. And it's all about kind of changing enough of the posts that they're different just by changing a letter, or not a letter, just a single word. Then they'll come out very samey, and you've really got to think about what your audience is kind of expecting from your feed. So yeah, mixing it up is certainly a good way of doing that, or changing more sentence structure allows you to kind of make it look a bit fresher as you're posting these. So here we've got 8 posts. Again, if we come up and have a look. So is it time for a new Suzuki? Would you like to buy a Suzuki? So these have happened to end up next to each other. But the nice thing about having the mix of hashtags is if you want to appear in different hashtag streams, then this will kind of mix that up for you. Next thing we'll have a look at is the variations that you can create. And I know there was some chat in the Facebook group the other day about a really, really complex variation that was created. And I think it was more than a billion variations were coming out. And one of my recommendations for this is if you're looking to create quite a different type of post. So this one's all about kind of, would you like to buy? Is it time for a new bike? But if there's a different sort of topic, you can go ahead and kind of add a new variation. And what this will do is this will mix the two things up together. So let's go for something like, okay, do you like to write when it is, and let's just go from sunny, rainy, fog, I missed, or something like that. So here we go. So different type of post. We've only got 4 of them in here. And again, so this will shuffle them in there. So you can see a few of these smaller ones in there. So when you're generating these, it's quite a good idea to create some different variations of this post so that they're mixed together. And what we'll do, let's just go ahead. And if we only wanted to generate 8 posts in total, so even though we've got an 8 total posts that we'll be generating from here, what you can do is say, actually, I only want 4 of these. So there's a way that you can limit it so it's a good mix of all of your variations. And we can see up here, so there's 8 posts, but it's going to generate a maximum of 4. And we can see here that the posts will be limited to 8. So if we look at the results, there it's generating 8, so it'll be 4 from the first and 4 from the second. So you can be quite creative and create a variation with lots and lots of examples. Maybe it might say down here that you're going to create 1,000 or something, but you say, okay, there's enough variation in there, but I only actually want 40 of them. And again, this comes down to kind of your marketing brain on this, is thinking how frequently these types of posts should be being scheduled. You don't want to be spamming your users. It's all about kind of getting the mix right. And there's definitely a case of the posts that you create with Postmaker are good to mix in with the posts that you're either manually sitting and writing occasionally, or if you're using any of the tools to kind of auto post from other RSS feeds, it's a good way to kind of get that mix in here. These are kind of almost like the passive ads that you can get in there. So another thing that we'll do is we'll just have a look at some more of the variables, some more things that you can insert inside of your post. So if we come across to variables, and we'll see here, this is the one that we created by clicking that button in the post. And what it's done here is it's got its name. You can add a description if you want to help find that more easily. You can choose the scope. So sometimes there might be a variable that you only want to use for a particular campaign or brand. So you can choose how widely this is available. And what will happen is it will only appear kind of underneath the text box when it's available. So it's quite nice of just, if there's a particular call to action for a particular client, you can make sure it's only available within that brand. There's different types that you can add in here. And the way that this came around is I was testing and grabbing stuff from anywhere. Some things were comma separated, some things were new lines. So this allows you to have these different options. New line is the one I probably use the most. Commas obviously fairly common. Multi-line is an interesting one. So let's go ahead and add one of these, and we'll call this biker quotes. Now I really wish I'd pre-prepared some biker quotes, but let's think of some things that bikers might say. So nice bike, dude. Oh, right. And this is one that's used, it's split using these double curly brackets. So it goes fast. And we can say, for example, Bob said that. So it's a slightly unusual syntax. This might be one that I'm looking to improve at some point. But if you want to share quotes, so lots of people kind of have inspirational quotes on their social media feeds. This is one way that you can do that. So I'll just do one more. So this is, if you're really wrong. Cool. And if we actually scroll down, this gives us a preview. So if we're using any of the variables at the top, it will give us a preview down here of what that will look like. So let's try and use that within a post. So if I come to dashboard, because I've been within the demo campaign, it can take me straight there. And we'll say, this one will be called Customers Say. So check what our customers say. Can't type because people are watching. There we go. So we can add biker quotes. And so there's no exclamation mark, but that will insert in here. If we come into results, again, it's a mix, and we can see that in here. So this is a way that you can get longer form, kind of multi-line information in from your variables. If I only want to see the ones that I have just created, I can come across, and I can actually disable. So I can either click on the name here, and that will show me that there's just 3, and that'll be 1 for each quote that I've just created. So that's just those 3. There is a enable all and disable all button here to turn them all on and off. So if you're testing something, it's quite a nice way of being able to toggle things on and off. So we'll come back to the variables, and we'll add one more, and we'll just call this one products. And what we'll do is we'll use a CSV table for this one. And this is one I did prepare earlier. Copy and paste. Now, one of the challenges that we had first of all is PostMaker generates every possible permutation. So if I had a list of product names and a list of price, it would give you every product with every price, which isn't what we want. So the CSV table is a way of guaranteeing that information will stick together. So we can use the name or the product helmet, and we know it will always use the correct price with that. And I'll show you how that can be used. One good tip, and I was going through with Tima, I hope I got that right, the other day, is if you actually want to have a comma inside one of your values, you can just put that in quotes. If you're familiar with CSV, that's kind of a common way that you can do that. So what we'll have here, again, we can scroll down. So helmet, foam out, whatever, with their price. And I really like the way that these work in terms of flexibility of writing your social media post. So let's come back, go back to our demo campaign, and we're going to call this one products. And the way that we can access this, so we don't immediately see this variable underneath. So these are special. This is how we access this. This is a variable to use for variation. Rereading that back to a live stream makes me think that might be better worded. But here we can see products. And as soon as I select that, underneath I get 2 special variables that I can insert, one for the name column and one for the price column. So come on down. We have lovely, I didn't pull it, we come on down, buy yourself a, and then the name of the thing, prices are from price. Now there's lots of flexibility we've got on here, so come on down, visit our showroom. Now if you know anything about marketing, you're probably looking at this and going, how the hell is he writing this? But it's visit our showroom, visit our showroom, come on down, turn up today, blah blah blah. Yeah. So this will create me 21 posts about our products. So if we just again turn these other ones off, go to results, there you go. So leathers were 120, jacket 79, I think the helmet was 59. There you go. So these will always stick together. So you can kind of build yourself a template and inject the right thing. So a good example is, yeah, if you've got a store, then you can have the product, other details about that dotted kind of within your social media post. So I'm not sure who's using those. I think chat's gone a bit dead. So put a message if you're using those. There we go. I think that's what people do. One of the other really quite cool things that you can do with this is if you've got an image within your variable. So if we come down to products, so if you've got an image as one of your columns, for example, you can actually use in the body, so kind of, which one am I using? So in Publer, for example, you could put the name of the variable in here and it will use that. And the same for the link. And I'll go through an example of this when we're going to look at an RSS feed. Cool. If Jess is still there, Jess, can you just ping to make sure you can still hear me? Okay, all cool. Can CSV tables be dynamically linked to Google Sheets? That sounds like you've just set me a challenge. So I will have a look. One, if you're doing e-commerce, and just very sneaky peek, there might be something coming along at some point where you could hook it into Shopify or WooCommerce, but don't tell anyone. Well, so yeah, so there is ways that I'm looking to integrate. Part of the reason that I've moved some of the processing to the cloud now is so that you can do a lot smarter things. Cool. Now let me just get back in there. So yeah, so that's quite a smart way that you can build those out. So let's have another look across inspiration. This is where we can pull content from a website and use some of its so wording and imagery. Imagery is fairly new. The ability to kind of build up a post based off that. So let's go for postmaker.io. I should really have chosen a motorbike one, but we'll do that. Cool. So it's come back. It's brought back some of the content. It's showing me how long that is. Potential variations. It's pulling back, I think, verbs and adjectives. Yes, Chris, I agree. So it pulls back some of the stuff that you could potentially change in here. And what it will do is it will wrap these in brackets ready to go. So if we just add, let me just go for this. So let's just add this top one, add as variation. And if we come across here, let's just turn this one off. So it's added it as a variation, but it will only create one post initially. It's not done any smarts for us. It just says, you could potentially change these things. You might kind of disagree with them, or your time. So we could go, I know, energy. Where did that type? And effort. So there you go. So just pulling it from my own site, it's just given me kind of 3 posts from that one idea. It'll automatically add the link in here for me. So if I kind of have a look at this one, we've now got, I only changed one word there, naughty Phil, but it's given me 3 potential things as long as I'm sensible about how these are drip fed out. What you can do, so this is again fairly new, is to be able to look at something that was created before, is I could actually select some images and I could say, I don't know, free version. It took note, I'm just going to grab some random stuff. And what it does is it just builds these all together. So I can add these ones as a post variation. And again, it's kind of a starter for 10 for me. So it's just got all this information for me to kind of pick apart and play with. And it's stuck. I need to check what's going on there. But it's stuck the media URLs as a comma separated list. I think I'm using Publitio, whatever it's called. It's got commas in their URL, so I just need to fix that up. But that's a way that we can kind of quite quickly build up a post from several lines within that website. With the agency plan, which I think most people here will be on, you can kind of request as many as you want. Do that. Let me just kill these ones off because they're not bike related. They don't pass the test. Boom. Going down the list of inspiration, there's only one campaign at the moment, but it gives you a list of everything that you've created before. So if you go, actually, this was useful, I can use this as a good example, kind of just add it in. So now I've kind of got 2 ones called product in here, but it's a nice way you can have some that you can reuse and kind of make good for another campaign. RSS, I will come back with ideas. This is something that is coming. Jess has been busy behind the scenes. is we're going to fill this full of, is agency plan more than one code? No. If you got the AppSumo deal, you've got the best that will that you can get. So you're on the top level with the lifetime deal. Yeah, I was very generous. Cool. So with the ideas, this is going to be stuff that we're going to be saying, right, here's some starters for you. And this will be a nice long list of things to get started. There are packs that will be coming back soon, which is a mix of post ideas and variables. But these, again, yeah, you just click and it's just an example to get you started. So there's going to be a whole load of these. We need to think about kind of how we're going to categorize them. But the idea is there'll be ones for kind of new blogs, there'll be one for new products, there'll be ones for kind of whatever people are asking for. The type of things that you'll see in people's swipe files. If you've got a whole list of them that you want to share, then we'll more than happily upload them. But it's just a case of when you can't think of an idea, come in here and there might be something to get you started. We want to make this as easy as possible for people. So that's the ideas in here. Next, we'll have a look at the RSS. So feeds, there's a couple of steps, and the first thing we'll do is I'm going to be using the RevZilla RSS feed, which is a motorbike something. So the first thing we do is we add it to this list, and we will go and fetch them. There's no automatic schedule to go and get the latest ones. That's something that might come soon. But this will go and fetch as many as it can do. It can take a little while. And what this does, this is kind of a bit of a combination of the web crawl that we did before, is this will go to the RSS feed. If it's got content within the RSS, it will use that. Otherwise, what it will do is it will look at any links that's in there, go to that link, and then extract the data. So I quite like this one. This is quite a funky bit of functionality, and what it offers up is a really nice way for creating your social media posts again. So again, it's chunking through. This is where I hope it's not crashed on me. I need to start singing in between. So I get nervous and open up the developer console. Okay, don't worry, that's not me. So let's give it a second more. Let's just refresh. Yes. So while that's fetching again, that's a good question, Chris. I've been asked that before, so I might have a look at what we can do. I know that Niches doesn't actually export anything, so I'd need to have a look and see what assets they've got that I could export. Come on, I need this one to work. Let me just find. I've accidentally killed my own PostMaker RSS feed, so I might need to find another one in a second. BBC. Let's just see if this one works while that one doesn't. This was something that I was experimenting with earlier, so I may have killed it before I pushed it up live. Actually, it looks like it might have come through. Okay, that's something, it just wasn't telling me the truth on that other screen. So it has pulled back the 20 articles here. So it's showing me, yeah. So it has shown me everything it's brought back, which is great. So it's showing there's 20 articles. And the way that we can use this, I'm pleased now because I can carry on, is when we come to inspiration. So there's two different ways that we can do it. We can come to inspiration, we can come to the feed, find RevZilla articles, choose this one. This is where I hope it comes out. So this is the view that's very similar to when we crawled the website. So this is just here's some text that we found on here that you can pull out for lots of individual posts, which is cool, which is fine. So you can grab that. The way that I like to use this the most is, I'm going to call this Seymour, feed me. Cool. So we can use, so similar to how we use the CSV table, we can use the RevZilla articles feed. And I've got here's one I made earlier. So it's pulled out the kind of the fields that I've got available from that RSS feed. So I've got content snippets, title, who created it. So I've got in here quite a small post body saying, read this, or have you seen, the title of the blog it's found, by or from whoever created it, and a content snippet. There is also an enclosure URL, which I can steal as well. So if I go enclosure.url, again, this doesn't pick it up underneath because it's using this fancy way of doing it. And actually, we want the link in here. This is, I suppose, there's a good tip down here is when you import something into lots of different schedulers, they will kind of override the link with the media URL. I'm trying to remember which way around it is. So normally, if you want a link, an image and a link, I'd put the link inside the body and leave that empty. Otherwise it might not do what you want. So here we go. So it's going to pull down for each of the 20 articles. It's going to bring me in the title, the creator, the content snippet, the link, and the enclosure URL. And again, this is where it's important that each row matches up correctly. And I'm just going to write cool underneath it. Fair enough. So if we come across here, results, boom. So read this again. 2021 Getty wants to review by Jen Dunstan, and then a bit of information about it and my word cool. You'll see underneath that the link is to the correct blog, and then the image. Well, yeah, actually we can read that here. It's the 2021 Getty wants to Golden Gate. So here we've got grams have moved all the way across, but this is 80 posts. So of those 20 articles that they had in their RSS feed, we've now got 80 posts. And again, you can be smart about how you can scale this up. It's cool, nice. So now we've doubled that by putting cool or nice. And again, if you're looking at kind of drip feeding some of this content out kind of over a year or something like that, then just being able to spin up a few of these different versions that are worded differently is just a quite nice way to do it. Just because kind of you've written a blog post doesn't mean it won't be relevant in a few months, whatever down the line. So it just means that you can do that by mixing in the different hashtags, for example. You can also make sure that goes to different audiences. Can you pull hashtags from the... Let's have a look. If this could pull hashtags automatically from the content title. Yeah, so one of the things I don't think actually any of these have got, they say categories, but there's nothing actually in them. But you can, if this did have something, so I'm going to let's choose content. This might go horribly wrong for me, but I'll just blame Alex. So if I go tags, and I'm just going to say, right, okay, between 0 and 1, this isn't going to be comma separated, so let's just go for 1 and 3. This might go horribly wrong, but if there is information in here that could be turned into hashtags, so it's essentially what this is doing is just stripping out all the spaces and making it into a hashtag. But if there was something in there, it could potentially do that for you. So if you're using categories on your own RSS feed, then maybe that might be something. And even though you're using some of these, injecting that in, you can still add your own in here. So if we still had a biker, roads, motorbike, you can kind of supplement it with your own as well. So hopefully some of those might turn up. There you go, it's got bike, motorbike. So the idea is you can mix these up. So if you've got a collection of ready to go hashtags, you can still add your own in there as well. If there's a particular campaign that's that could do with a few more mixed in. Cool. So the next thing that I'm going to be showing you is the way that you can do kind of a battle, kind of a good interaction post. I'm putting together a post, kind of interaction post, the ones where you're asking your users a question. Obviously, there's different types of social media posts that we can create. You can use Postmaker to kind of spam your products and say, buy me, buy me, buy me, come to our website. You can spam your blog, whatever. But you can also kind of write content that can kind of help engage people. And when I first started using Postmaker, I did an example where I was kind of having two different books pitching against each other. So I had a whole list of non-fiction books and a whole load of fiction books and saying, would you rather read? And we'll do something similar to this. So I'm just going to come across to my variables, and so I've got a few more bikes. So I'm just going to copy and paste those. So we're now up to, I don't know, a few more, 8. There's little brackets there, so it's 8. And we're going to, I don't know what you would call these. Design, comfort, brakes, exhaust notes. I've got brakes in there twice. Build quality communities. So this is, I'm just going to call this qualities. Qualities. That's new line separated. And so in this example, what we're going to do is ask people what they prefer. So this is a nice way to be able to kind of get people to engage. So would you rather campaign? So you could say, would you rather have and we'll go bikes or bikes for qualities. Cool. And hopefully if you've been following along, what this would say is, would you rather have a Kawasaki or Yamaha for brakes? I don't know. So that's going to generate me 448 posts. There you go. So if I still got some other ones turned on, let's just turn off Seymour, come back. So you go, would you rather have Suzuki or Triumph for brakes? So blah, blah, blah. So this is a good way if you think about things that your audience might be interested in. It might be a nice way to kind of drop in kind of a weekly question or something like this. There's quite a few places I see where people go, I don't know, have you got new blogs this week or something? And it's all very same. It's the same stuff that comes out every week on a Friday afternoon or something. What you could do using Postmaker is kind of think about what other data you can kind of structure in for this. One of the things, there you go, this is a great example. This doesn't make sense. Would you rather have a Suzuki or Suzuki for comfort? There's not a lot of choice there. So I can't remember who asked this on the forum, but we fixed it. When I say I fixed it. If you put an asterisk next to the things that are the same, it does something smart. And then what you can do is you can look at it. And so this has reduced it down. I think there's a lot fewer posts now, but there won't be any duplicates in here, for example. So it won't say Suzuki and Suzuki. These will always be unique, which is quite a nice bit of functionality. So you can, scale up some things. I'm sure there's lots of ideas in your head for this. Cool, and you can do this for all sorts of different things where you can, if you've got a list of products. So when I was first building this out, obviously for Postmaker, I had some variables of all of the features it had. And what I could do is build up a load of posts talking about each feature. And I could talk about different use cases or different people that could use it and something like that. So it's a really nice way that you can think about your potential audiences. You can think about not just your brand, but maybe the kind of the topic or the niche that you're in. Is there something around that space where you can generate these types of posts that can kind of get more engagement in here? They're different. If people see these maybe once or twice a week, but they're different enough. So this one is, for example, comparing these bikes for these things. But again, you could add a different variation for a different set of questions, as it just might help stimulate some conversation and help kind of refine how to kind of post going forwards. And I'm not sure how many people here, but kind of one of the areas that we're kind of helping or kind of looking at here is people that are doing affiliates. Because obviously the more posts that you can create around a product, the more interest you can get in it, the more you can talk about a product in different ways. So I'd love to talk to you if you're doing kind of affiliate marketing of just the certain things that might be useful for you to help kind of get the message out about a particular product. So coming back here, so things like the scratch pad is fairly new. And this is just simply a way to test out your ideas. So you can just kind of have a look here without going into a particular brand and campaign. You can come in here and have a kind of a play and see how things could work. So if I do bikes and bikes in here, this is where I wonder if I've actually implemented this here. I'm not sure whether I did. I did. So it's a good way to just kind of test things out. Can you... Just reading this question, sorry, I'm jumping again. You can have a list of, I'm just going to cough 2 seconds, I can't find my mute button. Do that quietly. Let's go have a drink of water instead. I'm back. Yes, so in regards to the media, this can just be a comma-separated list. One of the things, it needs to be a publicly accessible URL. Google Drive, I'm not sure. I think that can be a challenge. I'm definitely going to find my mute button. 2 seconds. I hope that worked. Right, I'm back. So so you can have a completely comma-separated list. I saw in the Facebook group that somebody mentioned post images that do stuff for free for you. So I added a link here, and apparently you can upload stuff and it hosts it for you. You only normally need it as long as it takes kind of to import it in. And essentially, if you use something like Publer, what they do is they pull it in from that public URL. So you can just put a whole long list in here and it will pick a random one for each post. A lot of these fields obviously depend on the scheduler. So it depends on the scheduler. If you're familiar, so I use Publer a lot, Social Bee. The nice thing about Publer is they can actually have slots for this content. So even though I mix it up, if your questions always go out at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, you can give this I think it might be tag. You give this the tag of question. If that matches up for a time slot of 3 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon, then that's where that content will go, which is quite nice. But in here, I should really do a poll of what people are using, but I'm sure I could find out. So depending which one you use, depends on which fields you've got available down here. Cool. So there's the scratch pad. What else was I going to talk about? Feeds. So that has shown that. So again, if you need the feeds, you just fetch and pull back your data again. I think I've probably covered through everything that I was going to do. One of the things that there's kind of a few useful tips, I suppose, is pinning to the dashboard. Some of these don't necessarily play ball, since I think that one is one of them, since I moved to the latest version, so I might need to double check some of these things. But pin to the dashboard should be sticking it up here, so that'll be fixed very shortly. The variations, this was just simply a way to show what you have created before in this list. So if you've written something you can't quite remember where it sat, you can either click on this and it will take you straight into that variation, or you can go, okay, this was part of this campaign. also that brand or this campaign. So it's a way that you can kind of jump straight to some of the content that you have created before. Images is something that's coming along slowly. It's another secret thing. I'm not sure who's seen some of the stuff that I've got on the group, but the idea. So, for example, if we choose actually, I don't think it'll work with that feed. We choose bikes, and we want to draw, and we want to say content, confirm. Let's make that white. This is not going to be the prettiest thing. And then, so that's definitely failed on me. That's because I didn't do that properly. Let me just refresh that. It's meant to be 2 squirrely brackets. And so the idea with the imagery is to give you the ability to generate images that go alongside your They go alongside your content, so you can actually make this dynamic as well. I think there was a question, is could this be done independently of the main body? Because obviously you could just replicate the information that was in the main body with the image, but there might be another set of things that you want to do in here. So that is something, again, that I'll have a look at. So if I say, okay, medium, small, bikes, I think that's too large. Let's go for small. Done. So at the moment you can type in /images, should you so wish. It's given me all of these phones with that in here. If you click download, it bundles them up and sticks them into a zip file for you. If that's useful for you as it is now, then that will do that. You can just paste in a URL and that will be your background image. This won't get too much smarter than this. The idea is this will kind of be embedded within the variation section. I'm not going to build a Canva. I'm not going to build any of these other really fancy tools. This is going to be a good enough tool. So you paste in a good enough image, you put your text over the top of it, and then it will be doing that. Cool, good question. Okay, so yes, dates is something that I've been thinking about. So the question that's just come in, which is around, inserting dates. So some of the schedulers require you to add a date. That's something that I will have a look at what's possible and how to do that. I think, it's going to be interesting. The maximum post that we generate per variation is 10,000. Now that's going to be quite a long time's worth of stuff, so I need to kind of figure out how to do that. Actually, that's just reminding me of something that's very, very useful, is when we're generating, so go back to the dashboard, have a look at this campaign, so we're just going to have a look at this one that's generating 20 posts. There's stats in here, so if we have generated something, the stats will tell us, so I found these lines online, this might update at some point, but the maximum length for these social media networks, the ideal length, and what you can do is actually, let's just find one that's a bit longer. Which one? Let's just turn them all on. Enable all. Results. Find some, there we go, boom. So we can see here we've got 24% are above the ideal, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it's telling us off that our content might not squeeze into the boxes that we're trying to. You can come down here and you can say, okay, we're going to Twitter and don't really care about the ideal. We just care about the maximum. And that doesn't look like it's an exact. So this will show us the ones that will fit within that maximum or which ones won't fit outside. Just wondering why it's only saying 20, but I need to figure that out. So here you can choose only the post that will fit inside of the your destination they'll go to. If you're generating, I definitely need to figure something out here. So, for example, if your scheduler allows you to only upload so many at a time, so this one it's currently lying to me and saying there's 20, but if you can only upload 10 at a time or 500 at a time, you can say posts per CSV, and what this one will do is this will download me 2 CSVs, it will batch them up for me. You can, even though it might say it's generating 700, you may say I only actually want 100 of them. You can type in 100 and it will just give you that amount in here. This is something that I've added today, which is just showing you which variations are used. So for example, if I just turn that one on, it should say, okay, it's only using that one. Cool. So I think I've kind of made it to the hour. I'm trying to think now of other things that I was going to go through, but I think that's kind of covered most of it. Hopefully people have learnt something useful, seen something in the product that's kind of got them thinking. Those that are active in the Facebook group, I really appreciate it. As I said quite a few times before, I am not a marketer. I am learning a lot from what people are saying and sharing and asking for. Try and respond and kind of turn things around as quickly as I can, make it as useful as I can. There are some things that are coming along the way, things like helping people do e-commerce, affiliates. There you go. Phil's just asked that question. So it's all around kind of helping kind of scale people's efforts, make it easy as possible, remove some of the kind of links out there. One of the things that I'm also looking at is the ability to request a PostMaker output via a webhook or something like that. So again, another reason that I've moved this to the cloud is if you've got a workflow, so if you're using something like Integrately, I can't remember, Zapier or whatever, you could say, okay, and let's kind of pull, part of that process can be talk to PostMaker, get one post response out based on something you pass in, and then use that data somewhere else. So that's another thing that I'm kind of looking at is, can we make this available outside of this application for other smarter uses? Just the same as you click in the generate button, can you request that online to do some other process? Of course, just going back to Phil's question around the affiliate uses, this is an interesting point. I don't quite know how I can scale to make this more useful for people. I think the main thing for me, what I'm looking to do is find almost a structural way of working, even kind of approaching some people that have got affiliate programs and saying, okay, how can we find out what your list of features are, who your list of demographics are, who kind of upsells, downsells, is get all of this information to kind of a neat package that you can kind of go push a button, right, I just need to plug the products in here, my affiliate link in here, and it will generate them using your own tone of voice and stuff like that. Because I know things like niches, I never know how to say that, are really good for generating brand new content, but it's not necessarily in your voice. So it's about kind of mixing the two. So going, okay, that might be a starter for 10, tweak it a bit for your own voice, and then really scale it up and ramp it up using PostMaker, so that that one good idea, those 5 good ideas, can turn into kind of 300 good posts that can go and be pushed out over the next year or something. And you don't really need to think about it. You know that your message is going out there. By getting a good mix of these variations in there, they're not all going to be worded the same or targeted the same. There's a nice mix of kind of questions, engagements, sales, pulling back to review pages or something like that. But that's something I'm looking at. Packs, I can't wait to get those back. They appeared back briefly today. They're going to disappear again until I fix those. But again, the idea of a pack is, if I can work with some people that have got affiliates, is there might even be a pack from an affiliate or a product that you like. They'll be able to put it into our store, our marketplace or whatever, which will always be free. So you go, right, add this, and they've already got a list of 30 things that's good about them. You can then mix those into your own content and links, and then away you go. but yeah, I think the key thing for me is just kind of keep talking to me, tell me what you think or find is useful. Our tags working. Oh, Alex is trying to break the images already. You need to put the word content in there if it's going to work. But yeah, so I'm quite excited kind of around this. So biker quotes might work. Let me just show you one more time in here. So text, this might look a bit wonky. And there's quite a few cool things. This is using Docker, D-O-K-A tool. I really like it. There we go. So there's going to be some information here. I don't know how this is going to fit with all the stuff in. There we go. This is what people write on their phones. Cool. But yeah, it can do all kind of, it's got lightweight imaging stuff. But yeah, it's quite nice. Cool. Are there any questions? But my messages are always open, so feel free if you think of something after, or you've got a particular use case, let me know. Oh yeah, one final thing that I was going to say is I'm going to be running a lifetime deal. I mentioned it in the group, but as a thank you to everybody that's a Postmaker so far. Details will come out probably early next week. I'm definitely not going to, the deal that you guys have got, I'm not going to repeat. So not at that price point. So what I might do is do the team edition for the same price, or like $59, for example, and the agency will be a lot more. But anybody that is a Postmake or an AppSumo, Sumo Ling, and an affiliate, you'll get 30% of any sales, but that's only open to AppSumo Postmaker users, because I want you to kind of be rewarded as a thank you for supporting me through this. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes from here. Cool. I think that's me done. I'm going to go and have a beer. But yeah, if you want to review Postmaker, share it online and do all that stuff, again, that's all much appreciated. Marketing's not my strong point, but let me know. Yes, phrase answers on the side. Phrase is an interesting one. I've not got enough content in here for it to be useful. I think I get a lot of frustrated people from getting the phrase answers. But yeah. Now, I've done other talking before. Thanks, Rudolph. I used to do a lot of SharePoint. SharePoint was my thing back in the day, so I've done conferences and things before. Cool. Right, I shall leave you to your day, evenings, or wherever you are in the world. And cool. Thanks very much. Cheers, everyone. Bye.